video tomorrow.
Great. Okay, let's
Thank
do it.
you.
Okay, Mr. Charles, can you introduce this for us? Sorry for the interesting sideline here.
Absolutely. My name's Doug Charles. I'm father of Arthur Charles, who is a veterinarian at Potomac Veterinary Services and has been for the last 2.5 years. And we have a need to expand parking there. There's insufficient parking for the volume of patients. We have approached a neighbor, Mr. Benner, and he has agreed to sell us a strip of land 50 feet wide by 115 feet long. We propose to fill that and cover it with gravel and make it into a parking lot, basically for the employees mostly. And it's just as simple as that. There's nothing more to it.
Okay, I had a question about the net developable acreage calculation.
Yes, Scott, I did that. Let me get the camera back on me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so if you have that in front of you for the board members, that's on the third page of the package under section H. And I think, so if I read this right, I think that when you calculated the total developed
area
acreage, it seems correct by my numbers that it does bring the total developed acreage up to 0.39. However, when you calculated that as a percent of the total lot, you neglected to add in the added area that they're buying. So in other words, they're adding 115 by 50 of developable acreage, which is 0.13 added to the current 0.26. So the total developed acreage is 0.39. However, the property was 0.51 acres, but you're adding 115 by 50 plus the 8-foot perimeter. So you're adding, excuse me, you're adding 131 by 58 to the total acreage. So the total acreage actually goes from 0.51 to 0.68. So the percent of developed doesn't go from 50.98 to 76. It goes from 50.98 to 57.4 by my numbers. So
Okay. 57.4?
Yeah.
That's all?
Yes.
57
That's the way I calculated it.
But you're assuming that's not a, you're taking the, it doesn't make sense. That much?
Well, the developed acreage goes, the developed was 0.26 out of 0.51, right? Then they're adding 0.13, which is the 115 by 50. So that brings the total developed to 0.39, but the total lot is going from 0.51. You have to add 0.17 to it because you have to add the total acreage to the lot. So the lot goes from 0.51 to 0.68, and 0.39 divided by 0.68 is 57%. So it does go up, but it doesn't go over 70.
It sure looks like it does in the picture. That's what's so funny about that.
Well, it does add, it adds to the percentage, but you're still, if you think about it, you're adding 0.4, you're adding 0.13 of developed, but you're adding 0.17 in total. So you're adding some non-developed, And it's just the way the numbers work out.
So, but the 0.26, that's including the existing parking? It's the building and the existing parking?
Combined with the,
Well, I-
it's building and deck plus the parking and the entrance. That's what it says.
And that's what I got based on the tax cards that I have here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is adding a chunk that is highly developed in a percentage, but you're adding some undeveloped, so it's not 100% not developed, and you're adding to the total lot size. I think it's important because that number 76% is pretty high, but I think it only should be 57.
I'll make that adjustment.
Question, Mr. Chairman. Is this may be, obviously, I'm not sure about this, but.
Could you speak up, Johnny?
Sure. On that block of area, again, I think it's, I don't know if this question makes sense, but once you approve, the planning board approves that, can the person change their mind in the use of what that land is used for, or would they have to come back, or how does that work?
If I can ask just for clarification,
Sure.
you mean if Doug here wants to instead of doing the 50 by 115 parking lot, wants to make a building addition?
No, yeah, but he does the parking lot for whatever, 6 months or a year or two, and then changes his mind and maybe wants to do something different.
He wouldn't be allowed to put a building on it because it would violate the setback requirements.
Okay, so there's rules set in there that you just can't
Correct.
change. Okay,
That 8 foot is only because it's parking.
the 8-foot buffer there is, okay,
That's a requirement for all parking.
I see. So that's got to stay in perpetuity, a parking lot.
Correct. If they do want to change, it would be a building permit, but they would have to, it would have to change the setbacks.
Okay, all right, okay, I see. Thank you.
Well, if your numbers are correct, Scott, and I have no reason to think they might not be, but even though it looks surprising on the plot plan, I don't really have any issues with this. I'm assuming that the parking lot is also going to pitch in the same direction as the drainage shows on the earlier site plan. And there isn't a date on here, but the original site plan has a lot of the runoff heading to the left side, the west side of the building.
Mm.
Do we know anything about the grading of the parking lot?
Runoff will come this way to this culvert. It all ends up in the same place.
All the runoff is expected to go into the same culvert that I believe was highlighted in the aerial map. That should be in everyone's packets.
Yeah. And that culvert basically goes north. The water drains north from there.
No, it goes downhill to the east, I think.
It's going to Nobleboro.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It goes to Nobleboro up.
Yeah, it goes
It
west.
will drain from north to south, but then it ultimately drains from east to west and crosses the Nobleboro line.
I guess the question on the table is, does the new parking lot drain as the existing lot drains, or
Yes,
does
it
it?
does.
Okay.
So Max, you put together the Google map? Or who did?
I did. This was based on the information that Doug gave me,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah.
So having parked in that parking lot many times. I know it is hard to actually use with that drop off the back area. The site plan, the older site plan shows that there's 5 feet to the edge. Your, just for clarification here, your map shows that there's way more than 8 feet to the existing parking. I mean, I don't know what that line is. That's not what they're buying, right? So along where all the cars are shown, there's some hedge material, and then there's grass, and you've got the orange line. That's overly generous, right? Proportionally.
115 foot by 50 block being 8 feet away from the line.
No, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm looking at the existing conditions. You moved the east border closer to the neighbor's house than it actually is if you look at the original site plan.
Oh, yes, because he's purchasing, you're purchasing property, correct? Or part of the property.
All the way to Route 1?
No, it's a different question. Sorry, if I can jump in, Barbara. If you
Yep.
look at the site plan,
Yep.
The original site plan.
the old one, the original site plan.
Yep.
On the east boundary, it shows the parking lot has a 5-foot setback.
Right.
And on
And
the,
this one now has an 8-foot
on the-
setback.
right, in the aerial view, it's got to be bigger than 8 feet because you're
Right.
showing 8 feet for the rear section, but, so the question is which is,
I can make that adjustment then for the,
well, the issue is whether if you look at, well, actually, I take that back. If you look at the original, it's showing dotted lines for what look like might be the parking spaces. It's hard to tell from that exactly where the parking spaces are. I'm not sure that they necessarily,
It's
Built
the
this-
19-foot. They didn't. They flipped it around opposite way. They
yeah,
put the cars to the right. But anyway, both of
yeah, I
these
don't think,
look a
I
little
think there's a
odd.
bigger boundary there
Yep.
than the original site plan indicates. In other words, I'm questioning the original site plan drawing of where the spaces were going to go rather than questioning the aerial view, but
Well, yeah, that's okay. They flipped it, but and they moved.
It
looks like the
also looks like
driveway-
there were lots of exceptions given on the original site plan too.
yeah,
Mhm. Well, anyway,
I can make the adjustments when the land transfer has been finalized. This is more just showing where the parking lot is going to be and all the other related items that the ordinance requires, such as any nearby wetlands or streams and where the culvert would be, so it can indicate where the stormwater is going to go.
mm-hmm,
I can
So
make,
does-
and the setbacks, so I can make those adjustments once the land transfer has been finalized.
yeah.
so the east boundary goes straight back from Route 1 to the north. It doesn't jog. Is that what you're saying?
It may jog. Again, the final agreement can be, I don't know if the final agreement's gonna have that straight line or if it's gonna be going along is it going to go along the original boundary?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm just gonna have to make that adjustment when the final agreement's made. I just didn't know what where the GPS coordinates of the property line were gonna be. I can make that adjustment.
Okay, because that would be, yeah, it would be worth having that, because what it looks like the original site plan, that property line is just, it's shown going all the way to Route 1, and your satellite view overlay looks like it accounts for the setback from Route 1.
Yeah, and I just bring that up because I'm hoping all your math is right. But
Yeah.
if we are at 57%, at least we have a margin of error. So
Yes,
That's good.
Scott, can you hear me now?
I can. Yes.
Yes. I'm going on to the video because
Okay.
you keep asking whether I've got my volume on max, and yes, I do.
Okay.
If I go on the video, I can see what's going on, but I can't talk to you.
Okay.
And I think it's better for me to be able to see and hear what's going on than to communicate with you. So I'm going to leave the Zoom meeting and go on to the Town of Waldoboro website, or whatever that's called.
Jim has a question.
Okay. Bye.
I'm sorry, Johnny has a question.
Yeah, I have a question, Doug, and you can answer it. On page 2, it says T traffic impact analysis will not have 100 trips during peak hours and not have 50 spaces, not applicable. Have you found, because I drive by there about 4 times a week going to work, you know, Route 1, it's kind of you gotta cut in there to get in there, and the traffic going both ways.
Yeah.
Have you found or had any issues with people saying, geez, it's tough getting in there because with the more parking spaces, more cars, more traffic? Is that a concern at all?
No, we're not going to have additional cars. We're just going to have more space to park them. Basically, we'll be moving the employees parking to behind the
I see.
building.
Right.
So
So
it won't change the number of patients particularly.
Okay, I just, every now and again, I see a little clog there.
It is.
Turn, and then you're going around and you don't,
It gets clogged because people don't have room to park, basically.
so this is gonna.
So this will alleviate that.
Okay,
This will make a lot more parking available, so you'll be able to just go right in instead of,
a lot safer also.
A lot
Because they're
safer.
looking for a spot, they don't see it, and they're hesitating, and then there's the,
yes.
okay, great.
This building is also used, the second floor is also used by the public too, and those nights are pretty busy. So that's not, it'll probably be used by, the back will be used by the public as well on those evenings.
I expect so, yes.
Isn't it dance groups and stuff?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
always seems,
They have a dance studio, and then there's some kind of a dog club that meets occasionally as well.
and are you changing any of the lighting in the back?
No, there'll be no additional lighting.
Well, I don't have any other questions.
Max, the neighbors have been informed. They've weighed in. We've not heard anything.
The only Waldoboro neighbor is the one who is giving part of the property away for this cause, and I believe there is a signature in the packet that should
Mhm.
show that they.
Yep. Mr. Benner.
Yep.
Yep.
As for the other neighbors, I was actually talking with Doug about this just before the meeting. I sent them out, but there's really as for abutting neighbors, it's pretty empty, and I haven't heard anything for the last 10 days.
And across the
Good.
street, across Route 1, you also notify them
Yep.
typically? Okay. Okay. Well, I move that we accept the parking lot expansion as proposed.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any further questions or comments?
I'll make sure to make the adjustments to the net developable acreage and the map.
Okay. Johnny, you okay?
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So motion's been made and seconded. Any other further comments or questions?
The only comment I was going to make is that if we were in fact with the original math, if we were pushing 70, 75, 76%, I would have asked that this rear parking lot not be asphalted, that remain gravel, just to be permeable. But apparently our new math, we've got plenty of leeway. So anyway, there's just a comment I wanted to make.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else? All those in favor of the motion signify aye.
Aye.
All opposed, since that's the four of us, and so motion passes. So you are all set, Mr.
Thank you very
Charles.
much.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the confusion.
No problem.
Great. So the only, unless there are any other comments from the board members or any other business, I know Jim has a constraint.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do have two sets of minutes. I don't want to go through them, but do we have any, are there any further changes to the minutes in the package that if people haven't, if you haven't had a chance to go over them, we'll just postpone them again. But if everybody's
wasn't-
all set with them, oh, and you weren't at one of them.
I wasn't at July 8th. Yeah.
Okay,
You can't vote on
So-
that.
so if we
And I'm
had to-
fine with the July 15th minutes as written.
So that's the only one that we could do. Are you, Johnny and Jim, are you prepared to move on the minutes of the 15th meeting?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, because I'm fine. I already had made my changes. What about you, Barbara? You okay?
Yes, I'm okay, but one thing, Jean Lawrence, didn't she specifically ask that the exterior lighting fixtures be retained? I guess it's general enough that it might include original
were-
decorations, but
I'd have to reread the email, but I do know I believe she generally just said the exterior of the building, but I do believe that did include the fixtures. But I'd have to reread the email word for word just to see what it said.
So what does that mean relative to the minutes? Do we need a change?
do you think that as described that it will, anybody looking at this in the future would assume that the lighting is okay the lighting will remain, or?
Sorry,
Well, and then it says any fixtures that are removed can be saved, so there goes the lighting fixtures probably. I don't know. It may warrant some clarification.
okay, well, okay, then why don't we just, if you can look into that, Barbara, and come back with a suggestion, work with Max or whatever to get that resolved.
Yeah, Max, you've got the email. Why don't,
I will look at the email and
that.
see if she mentioned lighting fixtures.
Okay,
okay.
so why don't we defer both of these minutes then for the next meeting? And Max and I can try to put something out ahead of time just to make sure everybody gets a chance, everybody reviews and gets their comments in. So, because we're going to be backed up on minutes now. So it'll be good if everybody's got a chance to go through them before the meeting. So if we're not going to do those, then I don't have anything else for tonight. What about Max? Do you have anything?
Nope, I think I want to let Jim get back to what we were holding him back
Yes,
from.
we do.
So,
Okay.
so I appreciate your forbearance and understanding. Max, we still have something to sign from the last meeting, don't we?
Yes, Jim, I need to get your signature and Ted's signature for the last 3 applicants back in July. So that's something that I'll have to do. I was planning on doing it tonight, but you're going to be busy, so I'll probably do it maybe next week.
That's fine. Next week will be a good time.
Yep.
Just one,
Give me a heads up before you come
Yeah,
out. Just so you
I'll
don't
make sure to give you a
stupid
call
nothing.
ahead of time.
just one
Deal.
procedural issue.
Yep.
So can I ask a question
Oh,
after we
oh,
formally
wait,
close? Or?
Barbara,
Johnny has a
Johnny's
question.
talking, but we can't hear him. He's not.
Sorry, on the old site map, again, this is just more procedural.
Yes.
On the planning board, there's 7 members and only 4 signed it. And I thought you needed 5 signatures to make something valid. Is that,
You just need a quorum.
and is that 4 or 5?
At the time, it would have been 4. They only had,
Okay,
they
it's
had just as
changed.
many members as we did, but they only had 4
I
on
see,
that night.
Okay, I just noticed, okay.
Kind of ironic when you think about it now.
Okay, thank you. All right.
That's, all right. Barbara, you had a question?
I just, not to hold things up, but have you had any feedback from those people who did the presentation from 80 Gray? Any inquiries, any further
From
interest
neighbors or from Volunteers of America itself?
from the group applying?
Volunteers of America still seems very interested. They are looking forward to working with the town, and I don't have too much information beyond that. The subcommittee did meet with them just to make sure, just to see what they need from us, the town, and what a partnership looks like in the future. But they all seem very thrilled, and we haven't been hearing any negative comments from people about the proposal. So I think it's going forward well.
Well, didn't the select board vote to continue working with them in some form?
Yep, and with the consideration for a letter of intent.
Great.
Right.
Okay,
That's
so
all.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
It's 4.
Aye.
All opposed? None? Okay, we are adjourned.